It was a beautiful summer day when Sarah and her friends decided to take a hike around the Black Lake. The lake was known for its dark waters and mysterious legends, but the group of teenagers didn't believe in any of that. They were just looking for a fun adventure. As they walked along the shore, Sarah spotted something glittering in the distance. She pointed it out to her friends, and they decided to investigate. As they drew closer, they realized that it was a small chest buried in the sand. They eagerly dug it out and opened it up, expecting to find treasure or some other exciting discovery. But what they found inside was something far more sinister. The chest contained an old journal with a note attached to it that read, "Read at your own risk." Curious and excited, Sarah and her friends eagerly read through the journal. As they did, they learned about a curse that had been placed on the Black Lake by a group of witches hundreds of years ago. According to the journal, anyone who disturbed the peace of the lake would be cursed and doomed to suffer a terrible fate. Despite their initial skepticism, Sarah and her friends couldn't shake the feeling that there was something ominous about the lake. They decided to leave the chest and the journal behind and head back to town. But Sarah couldn't stop thinking about the curse and what it might mean for them. Over the next few weeks, strange things began to happen to Sarah and her friends. They would wake up in the middle of the night to find their beds shaking, or hear strange whispers in their ears that they couldn't explain. As time went on, the occurrences grew more frequent and more intense. One night, Sarah woke up to find a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed. It reached out to her with long, clawed fingers, and Sarah screamed in terror. The next day, Sarah and her friends compared notes and realized that they were all experiencing the same terrifying phenomena. They knew that they had to do something to break the curse before it was too late. They consulted with a local historian who confirmed that the witch's curse was indeed real and had been placed on the lake many years ago. The historian advised them to seek out a wise old woman who lived on the outskirts of town and who was rumored to know how to break curses. Desperate for a solution, Sarah and her friends set out to find the old woman. After a long journey, they finally arrived at her cabin and explained their situation. The old woman listened carefully and nodded thoughtfully before giving them a small, mysterious package. "Use this to break the curse," she said. "But be warned, it will not be easy." Sarah and her friends opened the package to find a small bottle filled with a dark liquid. The old woman had given them instructions to pour the liquid into the Black Lake, and to do so on the night of the full moon. With trepidation, Sarah and her friends made their way back to the lake on the night of the full moon. As they approached the shore, they could feel a palpable sense of dread and danger in the air. But they steeled their nerves and poured the liquid into the water. As they did, a bright light shone out from the lake, illuminating the night sky. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the water. It was an old woman who looked at Sarah and her friends with a mixture of surprise and anger. "You have broken the curse," she said, "but you have also unleashed something far worse." The old woman disappeared back into the depths of the Black Lake, leaving Sarah and her friends feeling both relieved and uneasy. They knew that they had broken the curse, but they also knew that there would be consequences. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen again. The same eerie whispers and mysterious shadows returned, and Sarah and her friends could feel a sense of danger lurking just around the corner. Then, one night, they heard a knock on the door. Sarah cautiously opened it to find a group of hooded figures standing outside. "We are the descendants of the witches who placed the curse on the Black Lake," one of the figures said, "and we have come to collect what is owed to us." Sarah and her friends were terrified, but they stood their ground. They refused to give in to the witches' demands, even as the supernatural occurrences grew more intense and the hooded figures continued to stalk them. Finally, they decided that they had no choice but to return to the Black Lake and face the witches head-on. Armed with the knowledge they had gained from the old woman and the courage they had mustered, they set out on a journey to the heart of the curse. As they approached the shore of the Black Lake, they could feel the witch's presence growing stronger. They could see the shadowy figures lurking in the trees and feel the weight of the curse pressing down on them. But Sarah and her friends were determined to break the curse once and for all. With a deep breath, they plunged into the dark waters of the lake, swimming towards the witch's lair. They emerged from the water to find themselves face to face with the hooded figures. The witches glared at them with malice in their eyes, but Sarah and her friends stood tall, unafraid. "We have come to break the curse," Sarah said. "We will not be held captive by your dark magic any longer." The witches sneered at them, but as they did, the bright light of the moon shone down on them. The same light that had broken the curse before was now shining on the witches, and they began to crumble away into dust. As the last of the witches disappeared into the night, Sarah and her friends breathed a sigh of relief. They had broken the curse and defeated the witches, but they knew that they would never forget the horrors that they had faced at the Black Lake. From that day on, they made a pact to always be vigilant and to never underestimate the power of the supernatural.